purpose of this video is to teach students how the grader exercises work in my lab. The reason they're called grader, R-A-D-R-A. The reason they're called grader, G-R-A-D-E-R, is because they are automatically graded as soon as you submit them by my lab. So it's a computer graded program, and what's good about that is you get 2 submissions for this. So you can look at the feedback they give you and then make corrections. So after the second submission, if you still don't get a 100, that's where I come in and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to provide you feedback on what you did wrong. So it's not like I'm trying to get out of grading or anything. It's just a great way for you to get immediate feedback and be able to make corrections. So those students who take advantage of using the 2 submissions will oftentimes get a 100. So I wanted to show you how this works. So I'm going to go here I'm in Unit 2, Assignments folder. Did some things a little different this week, so I'm curious about how you guys like that. I've already done a video about the simulation training. If you haven't checked that out, you should. That was in last unit's weeks. That was in Unit 1 videos. So this is the skill review parks homework. It's not called grader here, but that's the type of work this is. You'll know it as soon as you'll see it every week, so you'll get used to it. You just click on it, and when you do, it brings you into my lab. And you're going to see that there's 4 steps here that you need to complete. So the first step is you need to download the materials that you're going to be using. So you just click on download materials, and you see here there's always going to be at least 2 files, but sometimes more, because they're going to have us use some of these during our instructions. So you'll see there's an instruction file. Those are the instructions we're going to follow. And then one of these files we'll be using to start the work on, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I don't recommend download all files. I actually recommend just clicking download, because if you click download all files, it's going to create a zipped folder. And if you're not comfortable with zipped folders, it's going to be more confusing for you. So I just recommend download, 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 download. And then I am using Mozilla Firefox. It's important for you to know that depending upon your browser, when you download files, they go to different places. So for Mozilla Firefox, it's up in the upper right-hand corner. It typically is up there. It might just look a little different with Google Chrome. So in Safari, same thing. So I'm going to click over here, and I see that there are the files that I downloaded. And I see this little folder here next to it. And basically, or you could come here where it says Show All Downloads. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to click Show All Downloads. And what this is doing is, it's not showing it to me the way that I like, so I'm going to come back over to here and click Open Containing Folder. So when you click on Open Containing Folder, what that does is opens it in File Explorer. So if you're using Windows 10, not Mac, you can always get to the Downloads folder. It's sort of an important thing to know. Hopefully you learned that during Windows 10. But you'll see this little folder on your taskbar that this is your File Explorer. When you click on it, let me close out of these for just a second so you can see what I mean. When you click on this File Explorer here, right, you'll see right here Downloads. And so anytime you download something from the internet, it just goes into this Downloads folder. This is not a place that you want to keep this, however. I'm going to take each of these files, and I'm holding down the first one, holding down the shift, clicking the first one, holding the shift key down, clicking the last one. And I'm literally going to copy these. And I like to create a folder in my Documents folder. So I'm going to go to Documents, and I'm actually going to create a new folder here, and I'm going to call it Unit 2 Homework. Oop. And I'm going to save any homework I have for this week in that folder. So we talked about this last week with the OneDrive folder, whether you're going to use OneDrive. I do recommend having maybe one folder for CCRI and then a subfolder for each unit's homework after that. You can be as specific as you want. So I just pasted that into there. So now what I want to do is open up this instructions file. So I'm going to double click this so it's going to open it up in Word. And I'm going to hit Enable Editing. And you see here, these are the directions that I need. Okay, so when I look at this, it says Start Word. Okay, I've done that. Download and save the project files. Did that. Open the file named Student Word, and save the file as last word. What they mean by this is as your last name, which honestly, I'm pretty sure it already does that for you. For me, because I am an instructor and using Student View, it's actually calling it student. You see it here, Word 01 SRHW Parks. This is the one that I want, and it wants me to save it with my last name at the end of it. So I'm going to hit enable editing here. Anytime you download things from the internet, you're always going to get that enable editing. Just hit enable, don't worry about it. So now I'm going to do the save as, and I'm going to, instead of student here, depending upon what yours says, I'm just going to put my last name here. If it already has your last name, you don't have to do this step, although I recommend it because it's always good to have the original file somewhere, although you could just re-download it, so ignore that, I guess. But if it already has your last name there, you don't need to do that step. Okay. So this looks a little weird because it opens up and it's just like one line. So we need to go back to the directions. Here's where if you can print these directions out, you're going to be so much happier. Or if you have two screens, that's nice too, so you don't have to be flipping back and forth. This particular assignment, there's a lot of typing. And I know you're going to want to you're going to be tempted to copy and paste the text. Don't do it because the format comes... Not only the format, but also you'll notice here I have show hide on. With show hide on, you see that instead of an enter key, you have this shift enter. So instead of hitting enter here, they hit shift enter, which is different than what they want you to do in the assignment. So it's just easier, honestly, to retype it. Or if you choose not to do that, you've got to paste it in, not formatted, and take out all of those returns and make them regular returns. Anyway, if you know what I'm talking about, then you're in good shape. And if you don't, then definitely type it. Okay. So, some confusing things in this particular grader is they use words like complete the letterhead by clicking at the end of the line, pressing enter, and typing following on the two separate lines. So what they're saying is they want you to come here and click at the end of this. This is the beginning of the letterhead, and then hit enter. And I'm going to actually do a split screen here. Okay, that makes it a little bit easier, so now I can see both my directions. You should have learned that in Windows 10, how you can drag one to this side and one to that side. Because I have a split screen, it doesn't exactly, I have two monitors, so I had to manipulate it a little bit. Anyway, so I'm going to just type here, and then I'm going to fast forward this because I don't want you to have to sit here typing. But I just want to do the very first one. So basically the way the directions work is they tell you what you're doing. So here it says complete the letterhead by clicking at the end of the line, pressing enter, and typing the following on two separate lines. So I came here, I hit enter, and then I typed what was in blue on the two lines. So typically speaking, the blue parts that you see here are what you're going to be typing, and the black text here is what you're basically what the directions are. So you're just going to follow all of the directions throughout this, okay? You're going to be creating this letter. Make sure you understand there are 2 pages here. And a couple things to look out for since you decided to watch this video, so I like to at least tell you, is when they refer down here to, for the first 2 lines of the letterhead, apply the no spacing style. They're referring to these 2 lines, okay? And then repeat for the first 2 lines of the inside address, okay? The inside address is from step 4. This is your, see, then type the inside address. So this is the inside address. And then, and the signature Leah Kim, and so obviously that's that. And the only other one that I thought was sort of confusing when I got there was the spelling and grammar errors. There is one that they want you to change for conciseness. Don't change it. So it's making the donation, it's here making a donation, and they want to change it to donating, but leave it making a donation. So don't, because that's a conciseness, not a spelling and grammar, you don't want to do that fix. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, otherwise, everything that you've learned in this course is what you'll get here. So, all right, I'm going to fast forward here and pretend I completed the whole thing, which I actually did in a different area. So let's see, I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of what that looked like when I finished it. Let's see, I think it was this one. Right, so when you're done, basically, I made a few purposeful mistakes, but this is what yours is going to look like when you're done, or it should look even better than this if you did it correctly. So now I'm going to go back into my lab. Now, you should know that you could download these files, close out of this, no big deal, close out of my lab, and then come back in, later on in the day or the next day, whatever, and complete this. You don't have to do it all in one sitting. Step 2 is kind of ridiculous. It's literally just preview steps, which is the directions that we had there. So it's just if you want to get an idea of what you're going to be doing for this assignment, make sure you know how to do it all before you download everything. You can preview the steps, but you don't need to do that because you're downloading them and you're going to open them in Word. So this is the big important step. This is where you're going to upload the completed assignment. So we're going to hit choose file, and this is why you want to remember where you're saving things to. So before I had saved it in this Word Chapter 1 grader. Here it is right here. So that's the one that I know that I did because it has my last name after it. So I'm going to hit open, and it says, okay, this is the selected file, and now what I need to do is just click upload. And so when you upload it, it will come back and say, success, you've submitted it for grading. Awesome. So now what you need to do is continue to step 4 and actually click submit. It's ready to submit for grading. That's how I should word that a little bit better. Success is ready to submit for grading. It means you have one more step to do, and you're going to click here for submit for grading. So then comes up close assignment. On mine, for some reason, it kind of glitches out. It's not letting me close. Kind of annoying, honestly. So I'm just going to close the tab here because I know it was submitted for grading. But now, how do I go see what my grades are? You don't want, in this case, you don't want to go to My Grades Blackboard. That's not what we're looking to do. What you have to do actually is go into My Lab. So I'm going to go to My Lab. And yours is going to look a little different, but you're not going to have, obviously, instructor access. You're going to click on this My Lab. And if you go back into the folder, so it's Unit 2 assignments, you'll see here that you have a score. Do you see that? Right? So the cool thing here is, okay, well, I did okay, a 94.5. That's actually really good. But, if I have 2 submissions, why don't I see what my mistakes are? So this is not very intuitive, which is why I make this video. You need to click on these 3 little dots here, right? And then you can hit View Submission. And when you do this, it pulls up the screen. Still not super, okay, yep, I got a 94. So I'm going to click on that, right? I just clicked on the 94.5. And this is where it tells you a couple of different ways what you did wrong. So first of all, I can scroll through here and look, and it shows in red. Or I can hit this Filter Incorrect Only, which is kind of a nice option because now it's going to show me, okay, this is what I did wrong. So for the first 2 lines of the letterhead, apply the no spacing style. So I thought I did that. Repeat for the first 2 lines of the inside address and the signature Leah Kim. So I'm going to click on this little arrow here, and it's going to say for the paragraphs beginning with Mr. Fred Ashkenazi, the style name was not set correctly. Okay, so let me go back to my file that I completed. Give me a second here. All right, so it's saying for me here that I didn't do the no spacing. So I've opened up the file over here. I'm just going to go back over to the file, and I look and say, oh, I didn't do this one. Okay, so I needed to select the first 2 lines here and make this a no spacing. Okay, so I think I fixed that problem. Let me go back and look. So, yep, beginning with Mr. Fred, style name was not set correctly. Okay. Format Painter, thought I did that. The format was not copied correctly in the paragraph starting with parking lot. Oh, did I miss one? Because I know, look, I got 6.4 out of 8. And when I clicked on this, it's telling me that I'm missing one. So let me go back over to my file and scroll down. I format painted all of those. Oh, I did miss this one. Okay, so I can do this. I'm going to click on it, click Format Painter, and do this one. And so now that should be complete. Okay, let me come back. And one more time, let's look at this guy. In the beginning, the font name set to Cambria. I didn't set the font name to Cambria. What did I do? So I'm going to come back over to here, come to here. That was the very first line. And I select this line. Oh, I picked Calibri instead of Cambria. So I'm going to fix that. Okay, so now I'm going to save this. And then we're going to re-upload it and see how we do. So I just made all of those fixes. Now, before I re-upload that, I just want to point something out. There is another way that you can look. I think this is good, but there's another one that's called Live Comments Report. And if you click on the Live Comments Report, I just want to show you what this looks like. Okay, so we click that and it seems like nothing's happened, but what's happened is in the background it has downloaded that live comments. So remember that whenever we download something, where does it go? It goes into the Downloads folder. So I'm going to come over here to File Explorer, And I'll notice here in the downloads folder, I now have this same file name with an LC standing for live comments. So I'm going to double click on this. Now, when I do this in Google Chrome, I have my settings such that my Word files actually automatically open. So in some browsers, you'll see that this file just opens up for you. And Mozilla Firefox, the way I have my settings is it just goes to the downloads folder and it doesn't actually open. So you just have to be comfortable with what your settings are like and where to find things. So I'm going to open it up here just so I can get a feel for, this is doing the same thing as what the other comment did, but sometimes those comments don't really help you, and then coming in here actually will make it even clearer for you. So you'll notice this actually shows you the document, and it says, okay, this line here was not set to Cambria. Okay, these two lines here, the style name was not set correctly. So you're going to have to go back to the directions to be like, well, what was the style name supposed to be, which was that no spacing style, right? And then if I scroll down, I see, okay, that last line was not formatted the way it was supposed to be. So if you're not clear, really, sometimes you have to use both methods because sometimes the directions that they give you here is not clear. I think what this is useful for is telling you exactly what paragraph it's referring to, but then the directions here, when you click here, actually are a little better because they tell you, you can look at the directions here and know what you were supposed to do. Okay, so let's go back. Now what we want to do is take that file and resubmit it to see if our grade improves. So I'm going to come back here, and you can do this one of two ways. You could submit here directly from my lab if you want to. Since we're here, I might just do this. Or you could go back to your course content unit 2 folder and the assignments and just click on this again to do your second submission. Doesn't matter, either one. I'll do it here now since I did it the other way last time. So it says this is the last time you can complete this activity. Because it's your second submission, after you complete the activity, your score is recorded and sent to your instructor. So I'm going to say continue. Okay, so I don't need to do these steps again, right, because I've already done them. I'm just going to go right to here and choose my file. And I see, I always like to verify my dates. So I did this at 8 o'clock this morning. That sounds about right when I made those changes. And so I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to hit upload. I did pause in between. Okay, so now it's a success. It's uploaded. Submit for grading one more time. Again, I get this issue of, okay, it doesn't want to close. Oh, it closed this time. Look at that. And then it refreshed to, now look at that. We have 100%. So that's really how that works. Now, sometimes if you don't see the grade refresh right away, depending upon your browser and speed of your computer, you can just go up a level, and then when you come back down in, it will show you the grade. And as you know already, eventually that grade will come over to Blackboard so that you will see the grade in Blackboard. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but it does come over usually within an hour or so afterwards. But you can always come in here in my lab and check your grades for your other things as well. So hopefully this helps and that you use it. Keep in mind that this video was made for the Word Chapter 1 assignment, but the overall steps can be applied to any graders going forward. Probably do another one when we get to Excel because the live comments for Excel are a little bit different than the live comments here for Word. So if you watch this video all the way through, let me know. I'm going to give you 2 extra points on your grader assignment for sticking through and watching it all. Thanks.